murder, drug trafficking, gambling, police corruption. Organized crime is one of the most interesting subjects ever explored through cinema, glorifying some of the most dark and gritty parts of being an associated guy. But it's not just about the thrill that's shown on screen. These movies have a reputation for being some of the greatest films in cinematic history. So today, I'm going to list off my top 5 greatest mafia and organized crime movies. There are so many good ones, but I'm going to try my hardest to only list off the best. I'm going to list these off, but in no particular order, because each movie I'm listing off is just as good as the last, each with their own individual strengths. Before we get into the top 5, we're going to talk about some honorable mentions. These movies, while being great, had one too many flaws that took away part of their score. Let's get into it. The first honorable mention goes to The Irishman.
You like steak?
I do.
Another Pesci De Niro gangster flick, The Irishman is an adaptation of the book So I Heard You Paint Houses by Charles Brandt. It depicts the story of Frank the Irishman Sheeran, who claims to be the man who killed Jimmy Hoffa. While the movie has some amazing high points and delivers some justice to the conspiracy theorists, The Irishman's long runtime and almost flat storytelling knocks it off the top 5 list. The next honorable mention goes to Scarface. I know this one's going to touch a lot of nerves, but hear me out. Scarface, while fun, quotable,
Say hello to my little friend!
And exciting, it felt as if the movie relied so heavily on the shock factor that it forgot any ounce of emotion that wasn't fueled by cocaine.
You fucking cockroach.
The last of the honorable mentions goes to American Gangster. American Gangster details the story of Frank Lucas, the godfather of Harlem. The stacked cast and the compelling story should have made this film a shoo-in for the top 5. What brought it down a peg was the movie's runtime. It felt as if parts of the movie dragged on and probably could have been summed up within 2 hours.
Get out!
Now before we get into the greats, just know, moving forward, there's going to be some spoilers.
You motherfucker, you!
Let's get into the meat and potatoes. The first movie on this list is Casino. The story of Sam Ace Rothstein, whose real name is Frank Lefty Rosenthal, is truly fantastic. While the opening credits are quite hilarious to watch, the movie as a whole definitely earns the spot as one of the greats. Sam, who was an associate of the Chicago outfit, managed the Tangiers Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, and the story explores all the headaches that come with it. Some of the best writing and coolest details in the movie show us how a casino was run back in the day. They showed us how there are eyes all over the place. The writers showed us a glimpse into the Mafia's involvement in Las Vegas back in the day. What's so incredible about the story of Casino is that, according to Frank himself, it followed his career in Vegas almost to a T. Martin Scorsese did a fantastic job with the direction of this movie. Each major and minor plot point was executed so well. Scorsese used real dealers and pit bosses to add to the movie's authenticity. During the climax of the movie, we see both of our main characters let their pride become their downfall. And to me, the most interesting fact about this movie is that throughout his career in organized crime, and as the unofficial boss of Las Vegas, Frank was an FBI informant and no one knew until after his death in 2008. Casino does an incredible job giving us an inside look at who ran Vegas back in the 70s and 80s.
You took your boots off, you put your feet on the table? You shit-kicking, stinky horse-smelling motherfucker, you!
The next movie on this list will be Donnie Brasco. Donnie Brasco, starring Johnny Depp and Al Pacino, follows the real undercover story of Joe Pistone, an FBI agent that infiltrated the Bonanno crime family. Aside from being the most quotable mob movie on this list,
Oh, forget about it.
Forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about it.
the storytelling in this movie is laid out almost flawlessly. Of course, at first, we aren't shown that Brasco is actually an undercover agent, but after we find out, you start to feel this sense of discomfort, hoping and praying he doesn't get caught. As tensions build in the plot, you feel extra uneasy because Donnie isn't even supposed to be in these situations. As the movie progresses, he becomes more and more engulfed in the organized crime lifestyle. They show us the toll it starts to take on him as Donnie becomes closer with Lefty and having to make the choices to turn on his friend. Another little detail that I found really interesting was showing that despite being a made guy, The streets aren't paved with gold. The money isn't free-flowing. There's always someone else to kick up to.
You gonna make this week's Vig? I hope so. Because I don't want to have to come looking for you. You hear me?
Next up on the list is The Departed. A seriously star-studded cast with Jack Nicholson, Matt Damon, and Leonardo DiCaprio follows a story very similar to Donnie Brasco. A state police officer goes undercover to take down the boss of Boston. The Departed has some amazing writing and storytelling. The contrast that we get to see between Matt Damon and Leo's character keeps you on your toes. The entire movie is filled with the suspense of Leo possibly being caught. The contrast of a dirty cop who from a young age was molded by Nicholson's character. It seems like he has nothing but good fortune. And an undercover cop with a tough past just trying to figure out how to stay alive while being undercover. Feels his grasp on reality slipping with every murder and robbery he's a part of. As we progress through the story, the suspense starts to become almost overwhelming as we see each side discovers that they have a rat in their midst. The Departed delivers exactly what you need out of this film. Action, suspense, and acting that makes you feel every bit of craziness that happens on screen. Our fourth pick just so happens to be one of the greatest films of all time, Goodfellas.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Goodfellas stars Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci, and of course everyone's favorite Italian-Irish, Robert De Niro. It follows the story of Henry Hill, the real-life associate of the Lucchese crime family, and the different jobs and heists he was a part of. I've watched this movie countless times, and each time I watch it, I catch some other small detail. Like this, for example. Throughout the movie, Henry narrates some of the events that happen, how, as a child, he idolized the guys at the cab stand, how he and Tommy stole and started selling cigarettes, the Air France heist, the Lufthansa heist, all the guys that were whacked at the end. To me, this narration is actually his confession to the feds. Think about it. At the beginning, we have this meet the crew scene from the Bamboo Lounge. He starts listing off guys like Anthony Stabile, Fat Andy, and Jimmy Two Times.
I'm gonna go get the papers,
All really cool interactions with some great names, but why do we need to know all this? We never saw any of them throughout the rest of the movie. Overall, Goodfellas is one hell of a watch.
How the fuck am I funny? What the fuck is so funny about me? Tell me. Tell me what's funny.
Last, but definitely not least, is the film that set the bar for mob movies for decades to come, The Godfather. Starring Al Pacino, the great James Caan, and the always remarkable Marlon Brando. The Godfather explores the opposite side of organized crime, starting off with the strongest openings in cinematic history.
I believe in America. America has made my fortune, and I raised my daughter in the American fashion.
It shows us how the lifestyle can impact your family and your loved ones around you. The Godfather is one of, if not the greatest film of all time. With near-perfect writing, each character is fleshed out to its fullest extent. You have Sonny, who is next in line for the boss's chair, doing his best to avenge his father's attempted assassination, who is eventually killed because of the beef between himself and his brother-in-law, Carlo.
My sister again, I'll kill you.
We have Michael Corleone, the youngest son of the family, a returned war vet determined to make a path for himself, but ultimately makes the choice to kill the police chief and Sollozzo, marking the turning point for who Michael is. Vito Corleone, the leader of his family, forced to come to the U.S. at only 9 years old, he turned to a life of crime and gave his family the life they deserved. Vito's speech at the meeting of the five families after Sonny is killed is so well articulated and so well delivered that it's no wonder why Marlon Brando won Best Supporting Actor for this role.
Because I believe this drug business is going to destroy us in the years to come.
I could continue pointing out how each character feels like they deserve their own individual story, but that's a video for another day. The Godfather is so entertaining and has such an emotional draw to it.
Do you renounce Satan?
I know there are probably some movies you guys think that will need to be added to this list, or movies that you think I'll need to watch at the very least, so drop them down in the comments.
How's your mother?
Good, she's tired from fucking my father.
Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, like and subscribe. and we'll see you next time.